boss of McDonald's has said that the fast food giant is seeing a meaningful hit to its business because customers in the region and elsewhere have been boycotting the chain for its perceived support of Israel.
About 2,000 Starbucks employees are being laid off in the Middle East and North Africa as boycotts of the coffee chain continue over the Israel-Hamas war.
Israel's war on Gaza has thrust the BDS movement back into the spotlight. Established in 2005, it calls for a boycott of Israeli and international companies involved in Israel's violations of Palestinian rights. It not only provides a list of products to avoid, but people are also downloading apps to check if some businesses support Israeli products.
Greetings, friends. So I've recently been contacted by a very good friend of mine. He was expressing his concerns and frustration, more or less, regarding the boycott. Does it really work? How much of an impact does it have? And I thought maybe I should do a video about this subject. Perhaps to many it may be something new. It's not an everyday thing, to just boycott something or a bunch of brands all at once. It's not something you go through in day-to-day life. The most well-known boycott movement before the current one for Palestine, which is called BDS, was the one for South Africa. This was a very effective movement that started in England, actually, and it was instrumental at bringing the demise of the South African apartheid regime. So do not underestimate its power. Why is it important? Because right now we have an ongoing genocide. Many of you are seeing it in 4K right before your eyes. And many of us are helpless. There's a major world conspiracy going on against our Palestinian brethren. And the majority can't do much. So in these circumstances, when you are incapable of doing anything militarily, the least you can do is to fight economically. Many corporations have publicly, without any shame, supported Israel and what they're doing. It is our duty to actually not support these brands and not help them with their complicity with the Israeli regime. The Zionist entity is very well known for having many connections and deep roots into governments and corporations. They have an extensive network of companies, brands, that have been dominating markets for a very long time. And believe me when I tell you, it's very, very effective when you boycott them. Because their whole goal is to make as much money as possible. And with this money, they're able to progress with their agendas. They spend millions and billions on marketing just to manipulate you enough so you spend money at their outlets. So do not underestimate this. Also, for any in doubt, do not forget what happened in South Africa. South Africa's apartheid regime fell mainly because of the global boycott that took place against their regime. Now, granted, the major difference here is that countries were also involved, and that sped up the demise of the apartheid regime. In the case of Palestine, unfortunately, many governments around the world are actually taking active measures at fighting our BDS movement.
There is a global effort by Israel to suppress activism and support for the boycott, divestment and sanctions campaign, including through bringing in legislation to try to suppress such activism. And currently one of the things we're having to do in the UK is fight an anti-boycott law that is specifically aimed at public bodies like local government pension schemes and seeks to stop them taking divestment action. So at the moment we have a huge battle, but I think that speaks to the concerns that Israel holds and that the government holds about the potential momentum in these campaigns.
That anti-boycott bill, which is making its way through the British Parliament, says such boycotts or divestments by public bodies would potentially be liable to investigation and fines under the legislation. Israel has long accused the movement of anti-Semitism.
So this should give you more reason and motivation to be tenacious and to fight with this forward. The impact so far has been significant. McDonald's apparently has lost around 7 billion, Starbucks around 11 billion. So these are huge numbers. Of course, they have much more money than that and they're gonna survive. But because of capitalism and the way it works, many branches are closing, operations are being reduced, employees are being laid off, which is of course bad for the employees, but they'll find other jobs. The fact is, this is working. And it does help. Ironically, most of the brands that should be boycott are actually selling you things that are bad for your health. If it's Coca-Cola or McDonald's, Burger King, Starbucks, their products are quite bad for your health. Of course, in varying degrees. This is not the first time that there has been an attempt to boycott Israeli brands and non-Israeli brands that support Israel. There hasn't been much success in the past, and it has mainly been from the Middle East. The amazing thing now, it's global. Worldwide, people are consciously and in an organized manner boycotting Israel. And that's the least they can do in these difficult circumstances. Now, the good thing going on is that it's creating a vacuum in the market. And the good thing in all of this is that this opens room for local brands to come and fill in the gap in the market, because the demand is still there. This brings me to the next subject. People who have alternatives, there's more pressure on them to actually actively boycott because they have no excuse. A great example would be Turkey. I've been there. I've seen how it goes. Let's discuss food, for example, and supermarkets. There is literally a local alternative for everything. So when you live in an area and there's a local chain called Onur, for example, and right next to it there's Carrefour, what excuse would that person have? Both more or less sell you the same products, and in many cases, the local products are better and less harmful to you. So it's clear cut. Now, for people, the more you go west, the harder it is to avoid Zionist brands. That's, of course, a very valid point and understandable. However, there's something that we need to focus on, and it has been discussed in the boycott, divest, and sanction movement. This time, it's being more effective than previous attempts because the big brands are being targeted one at a time. There's a focus on 5 main brands, and people focus all their boycott on that until these brands are taken down. And then we move progressively towards other brands. So among the names you keep hearing these days are Starbucks, McDonald's, Burger King, Coca-Cola, and Pepsi. And that's really great because they have significant market shares in their respective markets, and hitting them hard would really send a strong message, because you have to understand your power as an individual. You can't do much on your own, but still, just like in politics, your money is your vote, actually. Where you spend your money is whom you're actually supporting and giving more power to. So do not think of it as an insignificant thing. And you know what? Even if it's not causing an impact, as long as you're not being harmed and you're able to guarantee the alternatives, what about your conscience? This is what you should think of. Do not buy your brethren's blood, because that's what you are actually doing effectively by giving your money to such brands. And here I'd like to take a moment to send a message to all Middle Easterners that are closely and emotionally involved in this. If you are still not boycotting, it says a lot about you. It's really unbelievable that you're not willing to discomfort yourself a little bit by not having a shitty McDonald's burger that barely has any meat content in it and is super bad for you, just because your stupid taste buds are used to it and the price is right, to actually support a huge organization that is directly sending money to the Zionist entity. And the most obvious method we've seen is when they started distributing free meals to the IDF. I mean, how insane is this reality we're in? And many of you are still filling the queues on their counters. Same thing for Starbucks. All the respect and admiration to those whom are already boycotting, but to the rest of you, shame on you. Take action now. Our governments are not taking any military action. The diplomatic action is a joke. The least we can do as people is to stand with solidarity properly, not just in word. And the irony is, all of these brands are bad for your health. Imagine if you just stop drinking Coca-Cola and Pepsi for a while. If you stop eating those shitty burgers from McDonald's, your health will automatically get much better. So even from a selfish point of view, think of it that way, that it'll actually help you. It's the least you can do. It's the least we can all do. And it sends a strong message. Look at them panicking. McDonald's CEO is really concerned, and in Malaysia they're suing the local boycott movement. It's having an impact, and we should keep going forward. The one related to South Africa started in the 50s. When did apartheid fall? In 1994. The journey is long and hard, and we should start somewhere. We, as Middle Easterners, have been reduced to nothing but stupid consumers. We have lost all agency when it comes to politics with our governments. We do not demonstrate when needed unless something is sanctioned or allowed. Stop underestimating your power as an individual. And individual after individual, you become a significant group. It's time to rise, people. It sends an important message is that we are here, we are awake, and we are against you. You are our enemy, and we will never forget that. The shameful Abraham Accords and what's been going on in the last couple of years with the traitor Arab regimes has given the Israelis an impression that they are very near to completely subjugating and dominating us as a people. What they don't understand is the majority of us, not only are our hearts with Palestine, we are anti-Zionist. And nothing lasts forever. This will fall. It just needs belief and perseverance. Without these two, we can't get anywhere. And also apply this to your life in general. Do not support brands that do harm. Do not support brands that in the long run do you no good, unless it's of the utmost necessity. Otherwise, you have no excuse. Apply this to many things. Personally, I've been boycotting brands my whole life. I don't wait for something to happen in Gaza for me to start this. There are certain brands that you should never go near. Anyway, just a few thoughts I wanted to share about this. I wish you all the best. Do what you can. Thanks to everyone supporting, and those of you who are still not but know that's what should be done, shame on you and wake up. It's never too late, and we need your support. Your brothers and sisters dying need your support.
Boycott Israel has become a rallying cry in protests around the world.
While we're providing support for the people of Palestine from here, at the same time we want our own government to cut off its support.
All over the world, millions and millions are coming out and saying, no, no, stop it. We will boycott and isolate Israel until it hurts them.